tonight's news edition, the Iraqi army evacuates more than 50 families found being used as human shields by Daesh terrorists in Ramadi city. The Syrian army, backed by Russian jets, enters rebel-held southern town of Dir'a. And a week of chaotic weather continues throughout the United States and Britain, causing deaths and destruction. Good evening and welcome to the news at 10. The Cabinet approved the recommendation of the Civil Service Council to exclude 150 top university graduates from procedures that apply to those seeking a job in the public sector. The graduates will be appointed to the government bodies according to the competent authority at a ministry or institution in which they are nominated to work in. Sood urged to expand the process of appointing the top graduates and raise their numbers in the upcoming years. And Prime Minister Abdullah Mansour met with the Parliamentary Initiative Committee entrusted with following up on the file of children of Jordanian women married to non-Jordanians. The meeting discussed removing obstacles facing the children of Jordanian women who have already been given certain privileges and facilities. The initiative's coordinator, MP Mustafa Hamarne, said the committee has asked for this meeting to get rid of all the challenges and hurdles and not to test the government's intentions in this regard. The Interior Minister said the Civil Status and Passports Department has issued 56,000 identification cards for children of Jordanian women. The minister added there is no need for a work permit for them in non-closed professions, while in closed ones the approval of the Labor Ministry is required. More than 50 families being used as human shields by Daesh in Ramadi were evacuated by the Iraqi military. Some 700 Daesh members are believed to be hiding in the center and eastern outskirts of Ramadi, days after Iraqi forces claimed victory over the terrorists in the western city. The U.S.-led coalition said much of the center of the Anbar provincial capital still needs to be cleared of explosives, which will delay the return of tens of thousands of civilians who fled to Baghdad and other parts of Iraq. Prime Minister Haidar al-Abadi ordered the immediate formation of a high-level committee, including the Anbar governor and senior federal government officials, to stabilize and rebuild Ramadi. He urged the immediate removal of explosives and the restoration of basic services to allow the safe return of civilians to their homes. The United Nations estimates initial reconstruction needed requires about $20 million, but the longer-term costs are likely to be much greater. Separately, a U.S. spokesman said U.S.-led forces have killed 10 Daesh leaders in airstrikes, including individuals linked to the Paris attacks, dealing a double blow to the terrorist group after Iraqi forces ousted it from the city of Ramadi. Syrian troops fought their way into a rebel-held town in the southern province of Dir'a. Rebels said the assault was supported by the heaviest Russian aerial bombing campaign in the south. The army said that troops were in Sheikh Maskin's main square and had taken over the eastern and northern neighborhoods of the town, which lies on a major supply route from the Syrian capital Damascus to the city of Dir'a. A rebel source confirmed troops had entered parts of the town and said fierce clashes were raging in the eastern neighborhood. The Combined Joint Task Force said the United States and its allies staged 28 airstrikes against Daesh in Iraq and Syria. In Syria, 4 strikes near 4 cities struck tactical units, an oil pump station, and destroyed 2 vehicles and an excavator. In Iraq, 24 airstrikes concentrated near Mosul and Ramadi struck bunkers, fighting positions, and explosive devices, among other targets. Groups of extremist settlers stormed the Aqsa Mosque, Al-Haram al-Sharif compound in occupied Jerusalem from the Bab el-Magharib gate. The Aqsa Foundation for Endowment and Heritage said in a statement that the settlers broke into the Aqsa yard and performed their Talmudic rites under the protection of Israeli occupation forces. A Bahraini F-16 jet taking part in the mostly Gulf Arab military campaign in Yemen crashed in Saudi Arabia. A coalition statement on the Saudi state news agency said the pilot survived after the plane suffered a technical fault and came down in the southern Jizan region. Saudi Arabia said it had intercepted a Scud ballistic missile fired from Yemen. Yemen's Houthi-run state news agency Sabah said the attack was aimed at Jizan's port and hit its target. The launch is the latest of several ballistic missile strikes by Yemeni forces on its northern neighbor, none of which have caused any reported casualties. U.S. President Barack Obama declared a major disaster exists in the state of Oklahoma and ordered federal aid to supplement state, tribal, and local recovery efforts in the areas affected by severe winter storms and flooding. Floods in the Missouri forced hundreds of residents out of their homes after 4 days of storms sent rivers to record levels, killing at least 13 people, closing hundreds of roads, and halting shipping on the swollen Mississippi River. A week of chaotic weather continued throughout the United States as a storm system that spawned deadly tornadoes in the Midwest and Southwest pushed north. More than 40 people across the country died of weather-related causes during the Christmas holidays in the past week. Missouri has been pounded by downpours since Saturday, and forecasters warned that its major rivers could crest between Wednesday and Saturdays at records. Torrential rain and gale-force winds battered northern Britain, cutting power to thousands of homes and forcing some to evacuate flooded streets in the third major storm in a month. The Environment Agency said Britain had faced an extraordinary period of severe weather and flooding in December. Further heavy rain was predicted to fall as the latest storm swept across northern England, Scotland, and Ireland, sparking warnings of more significant flooding. Around 7,000 properties were flooded in northern England in the last week as river levels reached an all-time high. In Northern Ireland and the Republic, roads flooded, flights were delayed, and thousands went without power. In northeastern Scotland, people were being evacuated from their homes by dinghies. Tennis star Maria Sharapova arrived in Australia ahead of the Brisbane International Tennis Tournament. Sharapova, the defending champion, has been battling injuries in the last 12 months and did not win a Grand Slam in 2015. Leg and forearm injuries prevented the 28-year-old from playing in the U.S. Open, and she was sidelined for 3 months from competitive tennis after losing in the semifinals at Wimbledon in early July. However, she has a formidable track record down under, where she is not only the reigning Brisbane tournament champion, but also the runner-up from last year's Australian Open.
I hope so, yeah.
Hey Maria, how are you feeling ahead of the tournament?
Good, thank you. Good.
How's the fitness?
Switzerland's Federal Office of Justice, FOJ, handed over the first batch of evidence to U.S. authorities as part of an investigation into alleged bribery schemes for soccer marketing rights. The FOJ also said it had frozen around $80 million in assets in 13 bank accounts. U.S. prosecutors have indicated 27 current or former soccer officials over allegations that they ran bribery schemes. And finally, it continues to be cold tonight with scattered showers in the northern and central regions. Tomorrow, the kingdom will be affected by a cold front, bringing temperatures down tangibly. Conditions will be cold and cloudy with heavy rains expected in the late evening hours. Winds will be westerly gusty, reaching speeds of up to 60 kilometers per hour. The Gulf of Aqaba should expect a relatively cool day tomorrow with northerly moderate winds and choppy seas. Next are the lows and highs for tonight and tomorrow. To end the news, here's a reminder of our top stories. The Iraqi army evacuates more than 50 families found being used as human shields by Daesh terrorists in Ramadi city. The Syrian army backed by Russian jets enters rebel-held southern town of Dir'a. And a week of chaotic weather continues throughout the United States and Britain, causing deaths and destruction. With that, we've come to the end of tonight's news. I'm Nancy Khair. Thank you for watching and have a good night.